Hey everyone, this is Dr. Casey Johnson. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I know you're going to love today's episode with Joe Monk Coleman. Monk is doing some amazing work and is helping so many people, so I'm excited to have him on to share a story with you guys. If you've been loving the Unlock Wellness podcast, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Also, be sure to follow me on social media to keep up with the latest podcast episodes. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My username across the board is at Dr. Casey Johnson. That's DrKaseyJohnson. You can also check out my website at drkaseyjohnson.com. It has all of the past podcast episodes and more information about each guest under the Listen tab. While you're on my site, also be sure to check out the Shop tab, where you can check out my first book of my Healthy Children's Book series and learn about the Unlock Wellness Project, which supplies a wellness bag to a child in need for each book purchased. Thank you again for listening. I hope this episode leaves you feeling inspired to start making positive changes to your health. Now it's time for today's episode. I hope you love my conversation with Joe Monk Coleman. Welcome to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I'm Dr. Casey and excited for today's guest. I'm here with Joe Monk Coleman, and he goes by Monk, and he's going to give us that story in a little bit. But Monk is a vegan bodybuilder and is sponsored by Clean Machine. And just a big shout out to Clean Machine's founder, Jeff Palmer. Jeff was a past podcast guest and is doing some amazing work as well. So be sure to go check out that past episode. But Monk is also an actor. He's also doing some amazing work in the plant-based world, just spreading awareness like crazy. So I'm just excited to have him on to share his story and everything that he's working on. So Monk, thank you so much for taking time to come on. I'm extremely excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. It's just a blessing to be able to share, as much as I can, and maybe it'll help somebody out there that likes what I have to say or something that may resonate with somebody. Because in my journey, is pretty much I had to find everything for myself through meditation. But coming out here and speaking to people and doing things like that, it seems like I'm able to connect or relate to a lot of different types of people. So hopefully somebody will get something out of this.
Absolutely. And I know they will, because I mean, just by following, you on social media, like you can feel like the positivity that you bring and this, that that you're really walking the walk of what you're talking about. And I love that about you. Before we jump in, to what you're doing right now, Monk, why don't you take us back to like younger Monk and and kind of walk us through, what your health and wellness looks like at a younger age, and how that really progressed to where you are right now.
Okay. Well, I'm one of 7 children, and
Wow.
we were really, really, really poor. And I never fit in. Where I was raised up where I was young, it was predominantly a white area. But we hung out with a lot of black people, the ones that were there. But we were mixed kids. So my mom was white and my dad was black. So we were kind of oddballs in the beginning anyways. We were really poor on top of that. So I never really fit in at all. And I started to build up my insecurities at a really, really young age. And I started to act out. I was already stealing stuff from stores at like 5 years old. Tried to stab my brother at 5 years old. And because my father had passed away when I was 3 years old. So I had a lot of stuff going on already with me. And I was acting out. I was getting in trouble at school. I was fighting.
Well, I'm sure that's hard enough going through all of that with and with 2 parents, and like you said, your dad passed away when you were 3. I mean, I can't imagine what that was like. I mean, even for like your mom, like that's a lot of stress on everybody.
Yeah, and I think I just pushed things down and inside as I went along, and I just kind of shut down. And about 7 years old, we used to go to church on a regular basis. About 7 years old, 8 years old, something like that. I straightened up my act because in church I realized what punishment I would be facing if I didn't change my ways. right? So now I've changed my ways, not because that's what I felt in my heart. I changed my ways because I was scared. And this went on for a long time. I was doing well. I wasn't getting in trouble. I wasn't doing the things I used to do, but I was just a scared young child and walking on eggshells, thinking if I do anything wrong, I'm going to go to hell. This is what's going on. So when I got to a certain age and I got to my older teenage years, I went the opposite way. I was just running wild. And I did that for 20 years, into the drug scene, violence, hanging with different individuals that we were all in the same place as far as our vibration goes. And most of us were fatherless, and we just fed on each other. We fed that energy. We was out doing the thing. So, and it lasted for until my late 30s, if you can believe that. So,
man, did you ever get in serious trouble in that time period?
You know what? It's such a blessing. I can name 6, 7. See, everybody started going to prison, and that's when I left that group of people and moved away. I've been in the Bay Area for like 22 years, but I left that group of people. Well, there's been 5 or 6, more than that, maybe more than that, instances where I should have went to prison. Whether they didn't find it, whatever I don't know why or how it happened, but there was a lot of times where I just knew I was going, and it just didn't turn out that way. So I figured I was next in line for something, prison, or getting really hurt or shot, or
you really ran down all of those chances, right? Like it was bound to happen.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody I knew, and then when my best friend, he went and did 4 years, and I'm like, it's time to go. So I left those people, but everybody knows if it doesn't matter where you leave and go to, whatever you got is going to come with you. Mm-hmm. So I hit the Bay Area. I was still, doing the party scene. I wasn't doing or selling any heavy drugs or anything like that. I was still, messing around with selling marijuana and partying, and very unhappy, unhealthy. Even though I was going to the gym, I had substance abuse problems, and it just went on. And I got to a point in my life in my late 30s where I was just like, what is there here? Why am I here? Do I want to be here? And what am I doing? I just had my last child. Yeah, along the way, I had several children too. I just had my last child, and I'm just like, I'm not going to make it. There were certain physical things that were going on with me from my lifestyle, and I was depressed, and I just wasn't right at all. I would get up with worry. I'd go to bed with worry. It was a terrible place to be in. And everything, I think, growing up in my whole life I was just trying to self-medicate and just push it down.
Yeah. Man,
so finally, yeah, and it was real heavy. Like my whole day was consumed, unless I was drinking or being in that temporary place of presence, which alcohol got me there because I wasn't worried at the time. That's the only thing that gave me a little relief, I thought, right? It's like I didn't want to deal with my thoughts. It was hard to deal with my thoughts when I was sober, and it was just too much for me. I don't know. I could have been pushing things down from my very young age, which I'm sure I was. And it got to the point where I was like, do I want to live? Do I want to be here around with this new child? Do I want to take care of my kids? What do I want to do with my life? And I just said, well, I tried everything. I said, I'm going to go ahead and try this meditation. I've heard about it my whole life, just hearing it, not really, I didn't know really much about it.
Right. Well, that's kind of like a random thing, just to decide, okay, I'm going to start meditating. Did you see something on TV that day, or was there something that was made you decide just that exact moment in time that you're going to start meditating? Because based on what you've been doing for so long, that's a pretty completely opposite act of what you've been doing.
Yeah, so this is how I came to that conclusion, because I was up in Humboldt County for a long time, and they have a little hippie scene up there. And and I said, I always say I had just enough hippie in me to try it, right? So I was like, okay, this is it. This is the last thing I'm gonna do, and then I don't know. Maybe I'll check out. Maybe I don't know what. but this something's gotta happen, or I can't continue to go like this, not working out. I already had the cars, I had everything that I thought I would make me feel at peace and happy, and none of it was working. Uh, all the failed relationships I had was because of me. It's like nothing was ever enough because I was chasing. And anytime you chase anything, you're just going to be, it's going to be just out of reach. And it always was. So instead of looking outward, I decided to look up meditation and sit down and see what happened. So first day, my first meditation place was the bathroom. I would ask anybody if they needed to use the bathroom, and I would go there. See, when I started meditating, is about the same time I stopped drinking. So I stopped drinking because things were going on with me. It's like, you're gonna die if you don't change your ways, right? So now that I stopped drinking, I was like, okay, how am I gonna deal with myself now? How am I gonna deal with my thoughts now? I can't just be this paranoid, depressed person. I have to try to deal with this now without my crutch.
Did that scare you at first because you actually had to be aware of those feelings? You couldn't just like mask them over?
Absolutely. I mean, to deal with, and especially when I first started meditating, to sit with your mind, to sit with your thoughts can be terrifying. It's like, that's why we don't want to do it. That's why we're always connected to the phone. That's why we're always doing something to distract us. That's why we feel uneasy when we're by ourselves and it's quiet and there's nothing around us. That's why when our phone gets cut off, we don't know what to do. We need some distractions from ourselves and from our thoughts. So I sat down and what I noticed was that it didn't do any, nothing, nobody came down from the sky, nothing miraculous happened. But that day I kind of went like, yeah, I did something. I meditated and it was in my mind, right? So when you do something every day, it's always kind of in your mind that you did that, and it's throughout your day. And my days started to get better.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, when you start your day with like a workout or something, like that whole day you can be like, I worked out. So you feel better, you want to eat better, things seem better, right? Just all around.
Yes, absolutely. So I continue to do this every day. So my days start getting better. And if your days get better, then what happens, Kate?
Just domino effect, yeah.
Your weeks get better. And then if your weeks get better, your months get better.
Mm-hmm.
Then your years get better. And then you have a better life. So why wouldn't you do something? And it doesn't have to be a long time. Why wouldn't you do something every day that gives you a better life? That's huge, right? I didn't know what it was going to do, but I'm like, if my days are better because of this, my life will ultimately be better because of this. So I kept sitting. This becomes a permanent part of my life at this point. And I'm starting to think different. I'm starting to view people different. I'm starting not to judge people like I used to. I have a sense of wanting to help people. I'm starting to connect with life, all life. So about 3 years in, I was eating a vegetarian omelet because no meat sounded good to me. And what I didn't know at the time was all this time I've been sitting, I've been getting reconnected. So my subconscious I was getting reconnected to life. And that's why I started to change my opinions about humans and animals. So I'm sitting there and I'm eating a vegetarian omelet because I didn't know what a vegan was at this time. And meat wasn't sounding good to me at all. I didn't know why. But a friend of mine goes, "Are you a vegetarian?" And I looked at her and I said, "Yes."
Just felt right at that time?
I didn't even say that. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why I did it. I was just as confused, probably more confused than she was. So after I left there, I'm like, what just happened? And then, because I've always been in the gym no matter what, even when I was doing my thing. And I think I stayed connected to the gym because I knew it was going to be part of what I was doing to try to help people. Because, everybody's still hung up on superficial things. Now, being fit is not superficial, but the way you look is. So you can be healthy and not look like, a bodybuilder. That's just, a bonus for whatever. So the look is a superficial thing, but I know if I can get people to stop I can get them to listen. So after I left that conversation, I started looking up stuff, vegetarian, bodybuilding, because all the stuff you hear, you're going to look like a long distance runner if you stop eating meat, right?
Right.
The image of a vegetarian is just a skinny, gaunt looking human. That's what all we see. That's all I've ever heard of. So I started looking it up. What do I got to do? And then, I started even seeing people that I know now when the images would come up. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. But I started seeing the word vegan. And then I eventually found out what that was. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go that far with it. Chickens just have eggs, and I need some animal protein. And cows, they just have milk. And I don't really drink milk, but milk's in a lot of stuff. I didn't know how much milk was in stuff until I actually became vegan. It's in everything.
Like hidden in everything.
Why would you put it in cashews? I mean, it's like,
right?
What's going on here? Right. So I go, okay, I'm just going to eat these egg whites, probably about 8 egg whites a day, because I still want to, have this protein or whatnot. And I'm not going to check the labels for milk or anything like that because it's just too much. I was still eating cheese and all that. Now that I know even what cheese is all about, I'm like, dang, if I would have known how bad cheese was for you, I would have stopped eating it even if I wasn't a vegan. So then I seen a video. Before this time, I had seen no videos. I didn't know what a vegan was.
And it's so interesting though, because just the fact that just increasing that self-awareness, like your body just kind of naturally rejected the want for that. Like I've heard that a lot, but I just think it's like, I don't know. I just think it's super interesting, like how, like when you increase that connection, that it can affect things like that. And I just think that's just so cool.
So you know what I was so confused at that time that I had to look it up. Like the only thing I've been doing is meditating. So I was like, the connection between vegetarians and meditation. And basically what it said is that I was being reconnected with all life and didn't want to harm any other beings, whether it be animal or human. And I'm like, you know what, that kind of makes sense, because if I had to kill my own food, I wouldn't be able to do it. Now, if you can't kill your own food, then something's telling you that that's wrong. But we choose to close our eyes and have someone else do it for us. And so we can have that taste of meat, which is really not the taste of meat. It's a taste of the plants that you put on the meat.
Right.
And that, it's crazy. We're so conditioned. We think that meat is delicious when it really tastes like nothing until we doctor it all up, which is crazy. So once I seen the egg video, like I said, I didn't see any videos before that. I became vegetarian.
What video was it?
I do not remember, but it was something about the egg process. I was like, oh my God. I thought chickens just went around. That's how ignorant I was to this whole industry. I thought chickens just went around and had eggs. Because I remember back young kid, I used to know somebody that had a farm and their chickens would just have eggs. And, they're just running around, just living their life, just having eggs,
Yeah.
And I seen that video of all them chickens featherless and chopping their beaks off, and then the male chicks get ground up, and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I can't do that. I cannot be a part of that in any way. And then I seen the cows just have milk, right? No, they have to have a baby, either artificially inseminated, and then the baby's killed, and then they're hooked up for about 4 years till they die, when they should live 15 to 20 years. No, I can't be a part of that. As soon as I seen that, I was just like, I don't care how skinny I get. I don't care what happens to my body. I'm not going to be a part of this. This is not right. And that's when I became vegan. And that was over 3 years ago. And it took a couple years. I stopped eating meat over 5 years ago. So back to what happened at the 3-year period of meditation, this is what happened. And 2 years later, I became vegan. But then, the more you meditate, the more you get connected. And I started getting to a point where I was doing it for an hour and a half a day.
That's awesome. Did you prefer a certain type of meditation? Like, did you prefer like guided, or would you just sitting there like straight silence, breath work?
Sometimes I would do guided, and even at nighttime, sometimes when I go to sleep, I'll put a guided one on. But usually, I sit in silence.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's so, I mean, like, just how powerful that is. Like, I mean, can you imagine what your life would look like right now if you wouldn't have decided that one day to even do that? I mean, even if you would even still be here, honestly.
No, I wouldn't be here. I know for a fact I wouldn't be here. This was the universe telling me that I'm here for something and you need to do it. These are not coincidences. The way these things happen. I had no idea I would ever be, for one, speaking to people, being a vegan bodybuilder. None of this stuff was planned.
Right.
And that's the thing. When you tap in, your plans might not be the plans that the universe has for you. So if you just go ahead and relax, go with the flow, and just go downstream, stop fighting against what you're supposed to be doing, doors are going to open up for you, and you're going to be doing what you were put here to do.
That's awesome. Like, you do like a lot of speaking now, and obviously the way you're telling your story right now, it's just super powerful. Like, when you were growing up, were you like more introverted, or were like did you always kind of have that quality to where, like, when you talked, like, people would really engage and be interested? Do you know what I mean?
No, I'm gonna tell you. That's what I'm gonna tell you how crazy it is. I almost failed a class in high school because I wouldn't read a paper that I wrote. She said, if you do not read this paper in front of the class, I will fail you. I was terrified. So what happens is when you have a lot of insecurities and you've been told things and you identify yourself with these things that's been told to you by adults, the N word, broke, this, that, and the other, by grown people, it really affects you.
Mm.
So when you get up in front of people, you basically, all that comes up and you thinking everybody in this room is judging me. So you're terrified. All them insecurities, all those things that even you might not remember consciously, but in your subconscious, all the things that you've been told start to come to the surface, and you're frozen. So I never would have chosen to speak in front of people.
Yeah,
That's
no, this is
crazy.
amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? If someone would have told me 5 years ago, "Hey, you're going to be speaking to people," I'm like, "No, I'm not. That's not what I'm going to do. That's not what I like to do."
Right. No, I love that. And I love how, like, meditation really kind of released that, like, with, I mean, those feelings that you kind of had, like, in your subconscious. Like, I mean, because, I mean, just the impact you've been able to make because you did that, it's just so amazing. And, like, once you started, like, okay, so you started meditating, you decided to go vegan. So what kind of happened from there, as far as, like, because I know you got into acting and you got into bodybuilding. So, like, how did that all progress, like, just as you started to increase your health physically and mentally?
Yeah, so I haven't done any acting for a while now. I kind of just, I think there's a show that's going to be, we're going to be doing soon, and it's not really acting. It's a lifestyle show.
That's cool. Can you talk about it? Or is it still in the works?
Well, yeah, it's just in the beginning, so I don't want to talk too much.
Okay.
Because once it happens, then I'll be like, we need to do another interview so I can tell
Let's
you
do
about
it. I
it. Right.
will 100% make it happen.
So how I got into bodybuilding, you're gonna laugh at this. Jeff calls me, inboxes me. I'm down in LA. He inboxes me and goes, "How would something like, how would you feel if about me sponsoring you?" That's what he said.
Just like that?
Something,
Were you even,
something.
like, were you posting pictures of you lifting or something like that?
No, just pictures. Of course, there was body pictures in there, and my, just the stuff that I post. And I responded to him like, "What kind of question is that? You already know the answer, right?"
Right.
So he said, and then we talked on the phone, and he was like, because I'm sure he could have picked someone that was in better shape than me, but we were on the phone, and he was just like, I like what you post. I like what you do, and I want you to be a part of this team. And I was like, sure, of course, I will be a part of this team. And then 5 weeks later, he had me in a competition in Texas.
Wow. How did that first one go?
It went really well. So I'm 48 years old. So he threw me in there in the open, which is all young dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there might have been 20 total in the group, but I got third in my first one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was with guys that were like in their 20s, the the young guys. But yeah, and then since then, I've gotten 2 pro cards against the young guys. So it's going well for me, but that's not my passion. It's just something I do, and it's something I can do where I'm backstage. I can talk to people.
Right. Well, it's like you said earlier, if you can stop people, don't listen. And that's really what it's all about. It's like, if somebody is trying to be in shape and like, they probably don't want to listen to the rail thin person that looks super skinny, like they want to see what you're doing, and like they look up to the actions that you're taking, and just a more like compassionate way of living. So, I mean, it's really just like being that example for them so they'll actually listen.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people just aren't aware,
Right.
and I sure wasn't. And I think I've always been, even though I was doing not so nice things back in the day, I knew in my heart that wasn't me. I knew there was a compassionate person in there, and what I was doing wasn't lining up with who I was. And I think that was a lot of the conflict too. With my internal conflict was like, I'm living a life that's not me. It never was me. I was playing a role at the time. And if someone would have came to me and, hey, have you ever tried this? Did you know about this? But if they would have came in an aggressive way, and I think that's why I am the way I am today, if they would have came in an aggressive way, I would have pushed back. Because at that time, if you come at me like you any type of judgment, because that's what happened with church and me. If you want to judge me and tell me what's going to happen to me, or talk like that, I'm not going to listen to you. So I come through now. Everything is from the heart, no matter what. When I talk to somebody, I get myself right before I even open my mouth, and I have to understand that everybody, or mostly everybody, ate meat before. So who am I to jump on your case about what you're doing when I was just doing that 5 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just cool. Like, I mean, yeah. And like 5 years ago, would you have ever like said that you were going to be in a bodybuilding competition? Like I mean, your life has just taken such a radical turn. And I think people like, once people get to a certain age, they kind of think that's it. Right. And it's like, you've made so many positive changes in like your 40s. Like, I love that. People kind of, I think, give up way too young in life.
Yeah, I mean, I think I really have been born again. This is my second life. My That first life is still a part of me, and it's always going to be a part of me. But now I'm on my second one.
Yeah.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I'm here for. I'm on my purpose-driven life now. I'm not just existing. I'm actually living.
I love that. Have you like, I know you said you're, one of 7 kids. Like, have you been able to have a positive influence on other family members since you've made this change, or are they like just totally blown away by what you're doing?
Well, my family members, for one, I'm the closest person I am. My closest sibling is 15 years younger than me. As far as how close, as far as how close we are.
Oh, okay.
Not the closest one in age.
Gotcha.
And the rest of them, I really don't. We're all in different areas, and I just don't speak to them that much. And people are like, how did your family respond to you? And because a lot of people, their family gives them a hard time. I'm the type of person that's like, if you would have known how I grew up, you would know that I don't care what anybody says, family member or not. If one of my family members would have come up and tell me something about what I'm doing, it wouldn't even affect me one bit. So we have to understand we all are on our own journey, and we cannot, even if it's a family member, take that and allow it to take us out of our space.
Definitely. No, I love that. That's awesome. And like, so what's happening like right now, like stuff that you're working on currently, future? I know you mentioned the show, but we can't talk about that yet, but hopefully on a future podcast we can. But like, do you have stuff that you're like working on right now that you just want to share with everybody?
Yeah. So what I do, I actually got my cert for a meditation instructor. So
very cool.
What me and my partner Kat, I don't know if you've seen him. You've probably seen him on some posts with me. We're doing something a little different. First of all, I do a corporate accounts as far as training people go, and I also give them a little meditation in the beginning. I mean, at the end of our workout. before they leave out of the room to get them right, before, get their energy right. And I also um, I got something going on with my friend Kat, where we're going to set up a whole program, a 6-week program, to where we're implementing meditation and plant-based diet in there. So it's going to be like a mindfulness. We like to call it mindfully fit.
I like it.
So most of the people that come and work out, well, I don't know about most, but a good number, a good percentage, they don't like working out, right? And it's because what they view as far as their workout, how they view that is a negative view of what they have to do. They have to do it. They think they have to do it. So what we're going to do is, when they get there, and it's amazing that we can even exercise, that we have the ability to even walk.
Yep.
That we have the ability to get outside, that we have the ability to move, that our body is so amazing and how it heals itself, that you would be upset that you are going to use your body and make yourself better.
Exactly.
And you hate that. How can you hate that? There's people that can't even walk that would love to exercise.
Right. It's crazy. Yeah. It's just understanding that perspective. And sometimes you have to remind yourself, right, and get yourself in that state. I was doing a long bike ride last weekend, and like it was a longer ride, and I was getting kind of tired towards the end. And like I passed somebody on the trail who had one arm amputated, who was running like super good pace, but like you could just tell they were just having an amazing day. And like that was like, that's a perspective, like right there. I'm like, and I was able to finish like it was nothing, because like, people can push through anything. And like, we forget how like blessed that we are so much. Like, probably every second of the day, we forget how, blessed we are. But like, it's just, I love that you come from that like place, because it is super impactful when you can get in that state.
Yeah. With the people, once I start saying things like, if no matter what you do, if you go into work with a negative attitude and not wanting to be there, your day is not going to turn out how you want it to turn out.
Right.
You have to practice no matter what. Be grateful that you have a job. Be grateful for everything that you have, and your life will start to change. Be grateful that you can work out. Be grateful that you're making your body better, that you're getting healthier. Why is that something negative? Why would you put a negative thought on that? So we have to get people to change their perspective about stuff. It's like, and once you do that, then you're going to notice that you start to enjoy exercise. You start to enjoy what your body can actually do. And it's just our mind that stops us. Whatever we want to do, it's just our mind that stops us. It's our views and our perceptions about what we're doing that makes the outcome not like we want it. So every day, like you said, you have to be grateful. And what I do every morning, that's the first thing I do. And it's the last thing I do before I go to sleep.
Love it. No, it's just so powerful when you start and end your day like that.
Yeah, and then your whole day goes, you wake up and you're grateful again. It's just like, this is how we got to do it. And a lot of times, everybody gets in a little funk once in a while, but then you have to have a reminder to get you out of that. You have to do something every day to bring you back to now, that everything is good and everything is okay, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're really blessed. And there's people out there. I see people on the street sleeping in cold weather. It's like, and we're complaining because our phone cut off.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable that how unconscious our society is. I was on the train today, and I try not to look at my phone a lot when I'm, I take the train and stuff to work, and it was just like a train pulls up and I look inside, and almost every single person on the crowded train is just locked into their phone. I'm just like, our society is gone. We are gone consciously. We're on automatic, and it's not good. we got to change this. Everything is a distraction, and everything's a distraction. So people that run this world and run this country can do whatever they want without you even being conscious of it.
Right. No, it's 100%. 100% true. It's just like, I mean, I know like it's cool because like getting to meet really amazing people like yourself, like just, you know, like especially through the podcast, like when you start to talk to like so many people who have like a lot more awareness of what's going on, like around, you know, around the world, like that, it's like people like that, just they have a different energy and like just a different level of focus and a different level of like love, like you know, it's cool to be around because there really is a difference from somebody that can have like that does have like that awareness and like that focus and can be like in a room and not be glued to their phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we need to. Well, that's the thing. I try to check myself all the time. So a lot of times we got our thoughts go run wild, and you have thoughts that aren't really you, or shouldn't be you, I should say. And you're thinking about people, and you're getting upset over little things. But through my meditation practice, I can catch myself quick.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Before I would just run on some tangent and just be out of my mind, upset for long periods of time. But now I can see it and I can get back to the present moment and realize that everything is okay. And that red light is going to be green again.
Right. Well, yeah, because it's not about like meditating so you can be like perfect, right? It's meditating so you can catch yourself quicker and be more aware.
So this is what I say. Consciousness is being conscious of being unconscious.
No, I like that. It's true. It's true for sure.
It's about yourself being unconscious. That's all.
Because I mean, I'm sure you talk to a lot of people when they're trying, like if you're teaching somebody how to meditate, people are probably like, oh, you know, I'm not good at that. Like I can't just have a blank mind, but it's not about that at all, right?
No, not at all. So I tell a lot of people when I talk to them, I'm like, they're having a lot of difficulties in their life, and I was like, because of what it's done for me, I'm like, have you ever tried meditation? They're like, no, I can't do it. My mind is just too busy. I tried it before, and that's like someone that's extremely obese going, I can't go to the gym because I'm too big.
Yeah,
that's exactly what you need to be doing. You need to deal with those thoughts that's crazy, that's running through your mind 100 million miles an hour. You need to sit there. It's like a glass of water that's dirty. It has dirt floating all around in it. And if you let it sit for long enough, it settles at the bottom. Right? So that's like your mind. You sit down, it's racing, and then it starts slowing. And now you're just being the witnesser. You're just watching your thoughts. You're not caught up in them.
Right. No, that's an amazing example. I love that. That's an amazing visual. And like, I love that you are using your platform to help teach people this because I mean, you are walking the walk and because you are putting that, I mean, just your influence on social media alone is making a huge impact. So like, I love what you're going to do with your friend with the class. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with people before we wrap up and just like anything you're working on or?
Yeah, so I'm just like I said, I do meditation, and I'm a meditation instructor, and I also do personal training. But my where I'm going is my speaking
Nice
engagements. So I have some book stuff already. So what I see in the future is, of course, helping people out with exercise and helping people out with meditation, because that's what I'm always going to do. But going around and speaking to big groups of people, going around and just spreading the message of love. That's what we need. If we all live from that space, and if people say God is love, I guess if you're love, I guess you're God then. So if you live from that space, then you don't want to harm anybody, and you want the best for everybody, and you don't want to harm any other being. So that's a message I have, is live from your heart space. Always. No matter what, no matter if someone talks bad about you or it says something out of line, you can always, you'll never see Dalai Lama, you'll never see any of these great spiritual leaders angry at somebody for anything, because they have an understanding that person needs love and not judgment. That person is in a bad place, or he wouldn't have reacted the way he did. So why would I feed into that? Why would I give that back to him? That's not what he needs or she needs.
right. No, for sure. And like, if you guys are listening and you can think of some amazing speaking opportunities for Monk, feel free to give him shoot him a message on social media, because I'm sure he'd really appreciate that. And on that topic, Monk, what is the best way for people to follow you on social media?
I am on Instagram under I Am Vegan Monk, and I'm also on Facebook under Vegan Monk. So those are I have a Twitter, but I don't even think I've been on there in a year. But yeah, those are the two best ways. I Am Vegan Monk on Instagram and Vegan Monk on Facebook.
Perfect. Well, I'll put both of those in the show notes. That way people can go and click and give you a follow and see what you're all about. And Monk, just closing question that I ask every guest. But if you just had one piece of advice for the audience, maybe it's been your biggest takeaway through your whole wellness journey so far, but if you just had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
Forgive.
Nice. No, that's perfect. I love that. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Monk. You are amazing. I'm excited just to continue to follow you and just all the amazing work you're doing. So just thank you so much.
Yeah, when I come out to Florida, because I think I'm coming out to Florida soon, I'm going to have to hit you up.
Yeah, no, shoot me a message because we can definitely meet up for sure. Awesome. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Monk. I love the work he's doing, so be sure to give him a follow on social media to keep up with everything that he's been working on. You can find his social media links that we talked about in the episode in the show notes, but you can also find them on my website as well at drkaseyjohnson.com. That's drkaseyjohnson.com. Click on the Listen tab. Then from there, you'll be able to see all of the past guests that have come on the Unlock Wellness podcast, read a little bit about each guest, and be able to click on their social media links, websites, all of that. So all of Monk's information can be found on my site as well. If you guys loved today's episode with Monk, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Thank you guys so much again for tuning into today's episode. I hope you loved it. I hope it inspires you. And most importantly, I hope you take action.